encapsulated the era's multiple stresses and strains. In addition to these major structures, the decades from 1871 to 1900 also saw the construction of Frédéric Auguste Bartholdi's Statue of Liberty, intentionally a symbol of liberty for the French as well as for Americans. If you look carefully at the illustration in Chapter 6, you will note that Parisians came to gasp and stare at this enormous work as it rose above the housetops from its workshops just north of present-day Parc Monceau. A display of an impressive full-sized replica of Lady Liberty's index finger, as well as two small reproductions of the foundry during the Colossus's assembly, are located in the Musée des Arts et Métiers, another of my favorite museums in Paris. As always, in researching Dawn of the Belle Epoque, I made a point of unearthing and visiting long lists of Paris sites connected with each of my subjects. I believe this is essential, and even though a century or more of development has frequently obscured or obliterated the past, I have found countless instances where on-site visits really make a difference to my understanding. For example, trekking out to see Gustave Eiffel's tomb in Levallois-Perret, just beyond the northwest Paris border, led to more discoveries than I had expected. Of course, I was interested to note that Eiffel's tomb in Levallois-Perret's cemetery is out of alignment with the rest, in order to place it facing his iconic tower, several kilometers to the south. His tomb is located, logically enough, near the site of his workshops, but His Eminence as the man who built the Eiffel Tower could not be overlooked, even at the sacrifice of cemetery layout. As often happens, one thing led to another, and in prowling through this little-known cemetery, I discovered a couple of notables that I hadn't expected: Louise Michel, who was buried with her beloved mother, and Maurice Ravel, who seemed entirely out of place here. I knew that, like Louise Michel, family ties meant much to Ravel, but seeing his unexpected burial site reinforced this aspect of his biography. His father and brother had been engineers who worked in Levallois-Perret, and Ravel is buried here with the other immediate members of his close-knit family. In another example, I found that by tracing the several residences where Berthe Morisot lived during her all-too-short lifetime, I understood more clearly how small a world she inhabited, bounded by the well-heeled but narrow quarter of Passy. Also, while walking the railway called the Petit Sentier, whose abandoned tracks still encircle Paris, I discovered that, indeed, these tracks ran close to the home of Edmond and Jules de Goncourt, who had moved there to escape city noise and were disappointed to encounter it in the train's unexpected clatter. Debussy would echo this same complaint from his elegant future home just off stylish Avenue Foch, then called Avenue du Bois de Boulogne. Indeed, I could see that the train regularly chugged its way practically through Debussy's backyard. It was illuminating to see how close Edouard Manet and Stéphane Mallarmé lived and worked to one another in the not-so-fashionable area around the Place de l'Europe and the Gare Saint-Lazare. They were good friends, and invariably saw much of each other as they visited another nearby friend, the beautiful Mireille Laurent, who first was Manet's mistress, and then, after Manet's death, Mallarmé's. To the south of town, on the left bank, one look at Manet's birthplace, on Rue Bonaparte, gave an idea of the kind of wealth and privilege into which he was born. By contrast, a walk through the Rue Mouffetard quarter, in which Auguste Rodin was born and raised, still conveys the neighborhood's narrow streets and bustle, even though charm has definitely replaced the slums that Rodin would have known. It certainly makes his last headquarters, if not actual residence, at the beautiful Hôtel Biron, now the Musée Rodin, even more striking. I was pleased and rather touched to find that the